RELL Seas, also known as the best upcoming Roblox RPG game, just dropped some amazing looking sneak peeks out of nowhere. And in this video, I'm gonna show you all of the new Devil Fruit abilities, some of the game's new visual effects, a quick look into the game's new movement features, and at the end, I also have a special word from one of the owners of the game that you're gonna wanna hear. So honestly, everything in this video is some pretty good news. Sit back and let's get right into it. Alright, first up, we've got our first look at the Ice Devil Fruit in RELL Seas and one of its attacks. And looking at this clip, it's actually pretty solid looking. I mean, I really have no complaints, it's just ice, you know? And it also matches the character in the show really nicely because it looks like it's going to be a pretty strong fruit. And for anyone who's watched One Piece, you know Aokiji is really strong as well. So, yeah, I'm actually excited for this one. And actually, the thing that stood out to me the most is the massive AoE coverage. And I mean massive, like, you can see how it spreads across such a wide area, which tells me this isn't just gonna be some basic devil fruit. You know, the range on this thing actually looks so brain dead. Like, you can have 2 brain cells and still hit your opponent with it. So for someone like me, without much Roblox combat experience, this might be the move. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because if you guys looked closely, you can see that the ice attack can actually be used for movement too. If you look at the clip, you can see that you're actually riding an ice bird, and then when you're done, you kind of jump off. But yeah, it looks pretty dang good in my opinion, and honestly, this short little ice move showcase is proof that RELL Seas won't half-ass their devil fruit attacks like other games we've seen. But anyways, before we move on to the next sneak peek though, there has been some hate revolving around this ice sneak peek because some people are already complaining that the ice attack looks too similar to other One Piece games. But honestly, in my humble opinion, y'all need to shut up. Like, all these games are literally based on attacks from the One Piece anime. Of course, they're gonna look similar. But let me know in the comments if you think that the anime style is boring and they should do something else for the game that's more unique. Because even though I might disagree with you, I still want to hear your opinion. Alright guys, we finally got our first look at flying movement in RELL Seas, and I've got to be honest with you, it has some good things about it and some bad things about it. But before I get to that, I'm gonna let you see the sneak peek for yourself. So for the good news, visually and sound design wise, this is pretty dang good. Like, it's not choppy like some other games where flying looks like you're lagging, and the animation is smooth, the effects for the little sun and cloud are nice, the sound effects match really nicely actually, and surprisingly you can see that they added momentum to the flight as well. Like at the beginning of the clip when they're flying slow, then they kind of tilt downwards and they begin to speed up. So, nice to see that the developers are thinking about the small details, but here's where things get a little iffy, if you know what I mean. The main problem people are seeing with the sneak peek is that nobody, and I mean nobody, wants flying to be overpowered in this game. And honestly, I feel the same way too. Flying often, completely ruins the fighting experience because players tend to just end up flying away or, running away the second like they're about to die. Or even worse, like people stop using boats in One Piece games because they could just fly across islands, which kind of kills the whole pirate ship experience. And also, now that I was thinking back on it, the RELL Seas developers themselves have even talked about how they don't want flying to replace ship movement. So the question is, why the heck does this sneak peek make flying look so damn broken? I mean, looking at the clip, the flying looks really dang fast and really unrestricted, which, it fully explains why the community is so worried about flying being overpowered in the game. So if you guys don't want this to end up being a problem in game, make sure to spam my comments saying that you don't want them to add this in the game and kind of nerf the flight, because the Row Brothers do be watching my videos, So I see you, Row Brothers. Now let's talk about the new map showcase. You know, it's less of like a full-on island showcase and more of a visual aesthetic showcase, but nevertheless, I know y'all want to see it, so take a look at these two clips. You know, I genuinely like how this game looks, like no cap. Like, for one, the quality of the textures and materials they used looks so clean. Like, you can tell everything's custom made, and no, they're not like using any presets that they got off of the Roblox library. And also, there's literally no choppy animations or lag. Like, usually if you have spinning elements like windmills and stuff, it looks really laggy, but this one is smooth. So good job, RELL Brothers. Also, the art style they're going for is very bright and gives off this really warm feeling, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I definitely prefer this over those eerie, dark styles like Deep Woken has. And don't get me wrong, Deep Woken atmosphere works for that game. But for a One Piece inspired game, the bright, welcoming art style kind of just hits different. And speaking of things looking incredible, you know, we got one more visual sneak peek, which is of this picture of a character standing on a dock. And just by looking at it, something tells me RELL Seas is going to be one of those visually appealing games where you can find a bunch of cool spots to take pictures with your crew, and it just looks nice, you know, clean, really aesthetic. So overall, I'm just glad the developers aren't rushing through anything and making sure we get a good quality game, even though they're taking forever. There's one more thing the RELL Brothers wanted to leave us off with, which is honestly the most important thing in this entire video. So here's a tweet from the game owners saying this: "We showed a lot without showing anything at all. I promise you the game may look confusing when we explain it, but it becomes secondhand nature when you play the game for yourself. We continue our grind for movie 3. If you don't understand what this means, the game owner is referring to the sneak peeks that were previously posted showing the game mechanics and just like a bunch of other RLC stuff in their Not Movie 3 video. And basically, a lot of people were complaining, saying that the game looks really detailed but extremely confusing. And a lot of people are even in my comments saying RELL Seas is gonna flop because it's gonna be too confusing for little kids to understand. No one's gonna be able to understand the game. Everyone that plays the game is gonna drop it because it's too hard, and just a bunch of stuff like that. So the game owner is being completely transparent here and flat out just saying, it's easy. After playing for a bit, you'll get used to it. So, good news. That's all the sneak peeks we got currently, but if you want to stay caught up on everything RELL Seas related, just subscribe and watch this series next if you would like to see some more RELL Seas sneak peeks.